He's still in the race. So let's talk to him. When I saw Ernie before I came on today, I just wanted to make sure you're still in the race, right? Ernie Almonte, the former Auditor General here of the state of Rhode Island and candidate for treasurer, is my guest. Last week we had Frank Caprio, the former treasurer who ran for governor, got beat, and now is running for treasurer again, who reportedly, at least for the insiders, is leading the race. He was here last week, and so I think it's important now as we start to get in the political season a little bit that we start shaking it up and make sure that we're keeping everybody's base tied in here, touched, if you will, touch the bases. I've had Seth Magaziner on the radio program. I think I was his first interview, and for a while I might have been his last because it didn't go that well. A lot of above the 30,000 foot view type of la-ti-da type of stuff. But he's welcome here as well because I got an open mind on the treasurer's race. So word to the Magaziner camp. Anyway, you'll see Ernie tonight. Let's go. We got a lot to do. We got to do the rundown. That's what we do. We take a look at a couple of things that are on my mind, then we elaborate on them, then we bring our guests in, then we see what your state of mind is, then we're done, and we'll see you tomorrow. Wow, this is a conversation in Washington which I think might be fluid. Heroes welcome, sort of, right? It's a little uncomfortable. They come in twos when the president loses people. No, they usually come in threes, so who's next? It's exactly what that says. I don't know what the Allen Funk campaign is doing. We'll talk about it. If you're going to use your family, I guess you go all the way, and that's what Gina Raimondo is doing. We'll talk about the difference between positive and negative campaigning. There's some data out from the Democrats as to how the races are going, at least among the insider crowd, and I almost pulled off a DVR stunt of the century. I'll explain. Just screwed up my whole day. Anyway, let's go to the videotape, or at least the rundown items. Steve is at the helm today, and we are ready to go. Soldier for Taliban sweep. What? Swap. Sorry. Headline. Yes, lots of mixed reaction. Let's just lay this out from CBS and then talk about it for just a second.
Sergeant Bo Bergdahl is recovering at the Landstuhl Medical Center in Germany, where doctors say he is in good physical condition.
Give yourself all of the time you need to recover and decompress. There is no hurry.
About 24 U.S. commandos met Bergdahl and his Taliban captors along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border Saturday. Helicopter gunships, surveillance aircraft, and a large number of troops provided cover in case of a Taliban ambush. While everyone is happy Sergeant Bergdahl is safe, many lawmakers are questioning the price paid for his recovery.
We have a changing footprint in Afghanistan, which would put our soldiers at risk for this notion that if I can get one, I can get 5 Taliban released.
Members of Congress also say the law requires the president to give them 30 days notice before releasing prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. The Obama administration says it had to move quickly because Sergeant Bergdahl's health and safety were in jeopardy.
I mean, it's a little bit of a Saving Private Ryan to this story, sort of, a modern day version. The story and the facts of this case are not anywhere akin, but there's a kind of a feeling that way. I will tell you, the conversation is a weird one, right? We want an American soldier saved. That's all part of the American drama. We want to, it's a price paid and for American life that we want to feel good about, but 5 Taliban for 1 American soldier feels imbalanced, and it feels like we put ourselves in somewhat of a precarious situation going forward, right? Not identifying a transfer out of Gitmo based on the urgency of the matter for the particular soldier is understandable, but let me tell you this. If more and more comes out that he was a deserter, because there are some troops that are talking about the idea that he kind of wandered away because he didn't feel righteous about what was going on in Afghanistan, if there's more deserter flavor to this thing, this story is going to take on its own another life. And so the Obama administration is a little bit out on that 10-foot board right now on this whole matter. I'll reserve judgment. I'm guessing you will too. You want to just go, yes, we got him. But there's a feeling of, okay, we got him back. I guess that's good. It is good. It's good. It's good. Right? All right, next item. Usually it doesn't come in twos, it comes in threes. So who's next? Jay Carney ran his time out. Here's the headline on him. He's the spokesperson, right? And then General Shinseki has got to go because the VA is a big problem for him, right? I don't know. Usually these kind of things happen in threes. You know, Carney's an interesting cat. Former Time magazine reporter. I used to respect his work when he was doing that kind of work. I think he did a pretty good job as a spokes guy for President Obama, and put in his time, no doubt. I always wonder what these guys are going to do, and there's Shinseki right there, who was under so much heat from the VA problems that he had to go, and to his credit, knew he had to go. Carney interests me. What's he going to do next? Usually, journalist to spokesperson. Now your journalistic objectivity, as if there was any in the business, is perceived to be gone. So most likely now he'll go to opiner for a network. And if I had to guess one, it'd be MSNBC or CNN. But we'll see. Maybe Fox will look for the alternative view. It's a weird professional flow. We'll see how it goes. Next item. Come on, man. Really? Really? Here's a headline in the Journal. Block campaign is laughing about Fung's blockheads. The Fung campaign has done something very, very indicative here that they're in trouble. Ken Block came out with a poll a couple of weeks ago that says he's got a 9-point lead. Alan Fung is in poll turmoil because he's denied that he's polled recently, but I've got circumstantial evidence that indicates that he did poll the first week of May. And the numbers did not come out well for him. And while he had a positive campaign that, I am Alan, here's my resume type of ad that ran for a couple of days last week, this ad is now all the talk.
Why am I supporting Ken Block for governor? Well, I just love that he voted for President Obama. Twice.
Block supports Obamacare.
He won't pass the buck, he'll spend it. Block supports billions in new government spending.
And Block was an advisor to Governor Chafee during the worst Rhode Island economy in years.
Why am I supporting Ken Block? Well, take it from me. It's the smart choice.
Don't be a blockhead. Say no to Ken Block.
So I wonder if anybody, Block or whoever, made fun of Fung's name, whether we wouldn't have a Chinese American reaction to that, right? So that's one thought that I had. The second thought that I had was the idea that this Chafee advisor thing is in the ad. Ken Block put out a volunteer consultant report to Ling Chafee on how to save money in the bureaucracy. Chafee kind of, didn't do much with it. He was never a paid advisor, and certainly not on the Chafee team by any stretch, so that's not true. And what I find interesting about this is that when your polling data is down, you do crazy things. Insulting voters who are leading Block's way, calling them blockheads, I'm not so sure that's a great strategy. I mean, I get the joke. I mean, I like to laugh as much as anybody. But right now, the only person that ought to be laughing is Ken Block. And if I were the Block campaign, unsolicited advice, I'd do an ad that says, Alan, really? Is that all you got? Now, speaking of ads and their interesting stuff, this is kind of how you win. Now, I had a real difficulty, and we talked about it diplomatically, I hope you think, Gina Raimondo's ad with her dad that aired last week, not too far after he passed. And that's a private family matter that I thought the audience was invited into unsolicitedly, and kind of it felt creepy to me. But at least it's in the category of, I'm talking about me, I'm defining myself, my politics, my philosophies, who I am. This next one is, at least if you're going to do the family thing, and I always feel not too good about using kids in ads, but if you're going to do it, you might as well make it cute, and this one is.
Hi, this is our mom, Gina Raimondo. And Mom talks about her jobs plan all the time. So we thought we'd show it to you. She started a business that helped create over 1,000 jobs. As governor, she'll bring colleges and businesses together to create more marine science, healthcare, and manufacturing jobs. She'll rebuild roads, bridges, and schools. And finally do something with this 195 land. Tommy thinks all that could help fill the Superman building.
Jess made a good point to me. They are flying. They're right? They're moving pretty fast over the bridge, too. What up with that? But, at least Gina Raimondo must feel comfortable about her place in this Democratic primary race. Why? Because she's still doing the defining me thing. Now, she's got a boatload of money to do both eventually. And believe me, she'll get after Tavares, and Tavares will get after her. And speaking of that, here's some numbers that I think are kind of interesting. The local party brass divided. Oh, spell check. We missed that one. I missed it, the crew missed it, but I just caught it, so better late than never. Anyway, divided. Let's put up some of the numbers. In the governor's race, in this discussion amongst the Democratic city and town people, Tavares and Raimondo are neck and neck, and Claypell is nowhere to be found. Those are the insiders of the insiders. By the way, Tavares ought to do well with city politics because he's a city mayor. But that race is clearly up for grabs, and Claypell, at least when it comes to the insider crowd, has a long way to go. Lieutenant governor's race with the same crowd, Ralph Malus kind of walloping Dan McKee. Well, Malus is a career politician that has got statewide recognition, and that makes sense. McKee has been a politician for a long time, but's got some institutional ground to gain, and actually a lot of Democrats don't like him because of some of his education ideas. And Frank Ferry's like, what? Just got into the race. We have treasurer numbers too that will show you when Ernie Almonte comes here. He's not faring very well in the inside crowd. He'll tell us why that doesn't matter. Of course, they always do. And finally, I thought I could get away with this one. I had a long weekend, a lot going on. I missed the game last night, Game 7. Thought I could pull this off with a DVR, but who knows? It's a lot of travel, one game to the next. 3,000 miles this way, 3,000 miles that way. Well, 2, 2, 4, you get it. Ernie Almonte, he talks numbers all the time. Stay with us. So Ernie Almonte is my guest. Here's that third slate from those insider Democrats, not the party brass itself, but the city party committee chairs and all that kind of stuff. Treasurer's Frank Caprio, who's been the treasurer before, with 24 votes, Seth Magaziner 9, and Ernie Almonte 4, which tells me, my friend, that you are not winning with the city insider crowd in the Democratic Party just yet, correct?
Well, we knew that from the very beginning when I got started. When you're an outsider, you're not going to win with the inside crowd, and that's what I told them. I'm a financial expert running for a technical financial position. We expected this from the very beginning. Our plan has always been go straight to the voters. I'm polite. I go out to all these presentations, but I never expected to get endorsed from that group.
And you are polite, and you are smart, and you're a political enigma to me in some ways, in a healthy way. I know you're a concerned guy. You want to make some change, and you want to do it right. But I'm wondering about the politics of this thing right now. Are you going to load up? Are you going to get a presence here? Because the inside polling data that's been thrown at me is that you have a substantial way to gain over Frank Caprio, who's got the name recognition and all that kind of stuff. And Magaziner is kind of a wild card. I'm not sure, what Clinton-esque type of thing he'll bring in here to try to pull something off come September. But what are you doing?
Well, just so you know, from the very beginning, I go to about 3 or 4 events every night. Saturday, I went to 8 events, which is a normal cost for me. During the day, I'm meeting with business leaders. So our plan from the beginning is go directly to the voters. I want to appeal to the citizens of the state of Rhode Island. That's where I think I'm going to win. That's where I know I'll win. I never ever expected that I would get it from the inside people. I was an auditor. I never was an insider.
No, I get that, but I mean, are you raising dough?
Yes.
What's in your campaign right now?
We've been in the lead the last 2 quarters, and maybe the last 3 quarters with cash on hand, and we have $230,000.
Are you sitting on it? I mean, it seems to me
we've been spending money and raising money.
Are you going to go up on broadcast soon?
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
not on the radio.
What? Not on the radio. Oh, you mean the boycott thing?
Yes.
You know what? I wasn't even going to ask you about that. What are you picking that fight for? Seriously,
I'm not picking
why
a fight.
are you involved in that stupid stuff anyway? Because you got to pray to the Democratic altar? I thought you were an independent thinker since you started the conversation.
I don't pray to any altar. I pray to the citizens' altar. That's the only altar I
Let me tell you something. You avoid WPRO because of what one host said. That's your own peril. That's not a very smart move, Ernie. I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah. Well, for me...
Because everyone else is doing it? Because you don't want to get hurt by the party brass, the unions, all that kind of stuff?
No, like I said, from the very beginning, we knew that we were not going to get the endorsement from the state committee chairs. I knew that from the beginning. I was always offended by the comments that were made. As you said in the beginning, I am a polite person. I would never use that kind of language with any people, women or whatever. I just disagreed with it. If someone worked for me that did that, I would have fired them. Yeah, but well, I'm not in control of any station.
My guess is that that you will spend money on radio, on WPRO, because the others will too, and that whole thing will bust up. And it'll be interesting to see how everybody reconciles that. But that's not really what I'm here for, to talk about with you. Why don't we do this? Why don't we pause? We'll come back, because there are some substantial issues in this race. And I know you've got some strong ideas about what the 38 Studios debt ought to be, how it ought to be handled, and all that. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. So yeah, I mean, if ever, people have seen this video nonstop, if we never stop seeing Kurt Schilling coming out of that meeting, whatever. But 38 Studios is a significant issue that still remains hot, and of course the House Speaker has decided that he's going to support and wants the rank and file to support paying the bond debt to the bond holders of the 38 Studios, the $75 million in principal. It's about $89 million in totality left between principal and interest. You've all along supported that we pay these bonds.
That is correct.
What's your new version of this? Is there a new version?
Well, I'm still saying it has to be paid back, because if you don't pay it back, it'll cost the taxpayers a lot more money than just paying the loan back. Now, we have 2 studies that have been done. First one by S&J said that if you didn't pay it back, it would cost you a minimum of $30 million.
To $350.
Right. And then,
Ernie,
right?
I would, listen, if you're going to tell me I'm going to have damage from $35 million to $350 million, I'm going to say you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Give me a real number, right?
For me?
I'm talking about them. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about them.
Right.
I didn't find that survey credible at all. I mean, that consultancy credible at all.
The high numbers, it's way at the out of bounds, but RIPEC also just did a study and didn't charge the state anything. This is an independent organization. Their numbers run from 81 million to 166 million. And that's only counting the difference in interest. We have to remember there's litigation costs, there's all lawsuits that'll be taking place, and we have to add that on top. And it also, that just includes the interest on state bonds. Doesn't even take into account an increase in interest rates on city and town bonds. So Dan, I remember when I was in school and the teachers sometimes had to hold me by the face and say, Ernie, just pay attention now. I feel it's the same type of story here. This is the classic pay me now or pay me later story. We will have to pay, because if the bondholders pay the bond, if the insurance company pays the bondholders back, they'll step in the shoes of the bondholders and sue the state. That's just one thing that'll cause litigation costs. But it will increase the interest rates. When RIPEC did their study, they said just a 1-grade downgrade cost us $81 million. If there's a 2-grade downgrade, it'll cost us $166 million just in interest. So to me, we have to pay this back.
Here's what I'm surprised about over. Nobody, and I think you've got a niche here to carve, nobody's suggesting, other than a couple of people on the fringes, about the kind of leadership that's necessary to get everybody in a room and figure this whole thing out. I mean, it seems to me that a settlement has got to be had here, that putting some money perhaps in escrow would be a good idea. Sending a message that we get the seriousness of this thing, and then maybe actually threatening back the ratings companies and telling them, over your dead body or ours, you're going to pull this stunt and hold us hostage for something that is so controversial, so convoluted, so political, so perhaps criminally involved. So I don't know that it's as clean as you're making it out to be, that we ought to just shovel the debt. Remember, it's something we have to do every year and still figure on every year for the next 7.
I agree with you, and that's why this week I released an op-ed piece which talked about having a negotiated settlement. And I spoke about this a couple of months ago as well.
Why isn't that your front page discussion with me right now, that that's what ought to be done rather than just shoveling $12 million out in each of the next 7 years?
What I'm saying to you is it has to be paid back, but I have this other option. The option is the option. We bring everyone in the room, and we only have about 30 days to do this. There's a time constraint. Before the budget gets passed this year, you put everyone in the room, the insurance company, someone representing the bondholders, someone representing the defendants, someone representing the trustees, and then the state. And basically, if it was me, I'd be sitting there and say, okay, close the door, the insurance company, I paid you a commission, you're on the hook right now for possibly $100 million. Let's agree and you put $50 million in this pot. The defendants, you're on the hook for $25 million. Let's agree that maybe you put in $15 million. Trustee, you should have done a better job in due diligence. Maybe you kick in 10. The bondholders, you received too high an interest rate.
Got it. So as a treasurer, how do you think you could impact the dynamics here? Because this is a General Assembly decision. The House Speaker had, he took a meeting in New York and all of a sudden he's wowed over the idea, and Lions and Tigers and Bears we better pay this thing. How do you get into this game?
Well, all I can do as a candidate is encourage them, and I've called them, the Speaker of the House, Senate President, and the Governor, to pull this together before the 30 days goes off. Now, I know from 35 years of business experience that you negotiate, if you're in a trial, you negotiate right up until the jury comes out with their verdict. Whenever there's uncertainty, you'll take the real deal. Right now, well, all the Speaker and the Senate President and the Governor have to do is, look, the leaders are engaged and they say pay it back, but I can't control the masses that are voting there. So you do run the risk that you could lose and pay it all. And with that uncertainty and everyone in the room, everyone agrees, signs off on a document, they won't sue each other, then we focus on the high unemployment rate and creating a culture of business growth and job creation.
Well, it seems to me, my friendly advice to you, because I've always been a fan, is that you better start talking that way because you got to sound different in this race. You know, just talking about paying the bonds is just going to make people go, huh, right, huh? But anyway, you know what? I'd say come on the radio tomorrow and we'll talk more about this. But you won't do that. So come back on the TV and soon and we'll talk more about this. All right?
Sounds good.
All right, Ernie
Thank you,
Almonte,
Dan.
your state of mind when we come back. Don't go anywhere. You know, it's interesting. Ernie Almonte, I think, is a very viable candidate for treasurer. He better get up on the air, and he better start talking differently about 38 Studios, like the negotiation settlement part, or is he just pay the bond thing? He's just going to get lost. Anyway, your state of mind. 228-1886 is the voicemail number. Of course, you can email me and Facebook post and tweet at us. And you know, just thought this was kind of funny to put up on the air. Short but sweet from this gentleman.
Friday night, great show tonight. Great show every night. Okay, good job. Keep it up.
I don't know. She thought that was funny. I thought that was funny. Thanks, Kenny. Next time, give us a longer review. Perhaps a little context. We like to know what we're doing well here. Or is it all just that good? That can't be. We'll see you tomorrow night. Ted Neese will be here because Channel 12's got some new polling data. See you on the radio at noon tomorrow on WPRO and back here at 7:30. Good night.